Hello and welcome back to my YouTube video blog channel. My name is Oindrila. I'm a full-time graduate student in environmental engineering at the University of Maryland, Baltimore County. Firstly, my apologies for uploading this week's vlog so late. I was very busy for the last couple of weeks and I sometimes didn't have the time to film my day or even edit them after every day. Like, I usually transfer my videos after every day, but this time I did not have the time, and then I was procrastinating and things got piled up. So honestly, this might happen a couple of times even later in this channel, because this is not what I do full time. My PhD work is my full-time work, and I need to prioritize that at this point in my career, because that is what provides me all the resources for whatever I share or do here, starting from the content to the motivation to the money to buy my gear, everything. So yeah, I need to prioritize that, and sometimes my videos might come up late. I might miss a couple of weeks, so disclaimer. Anyway, so this week's vlog is going to be mostly about lab work, where I was processing these samples from about 10 samples from my SERDP project, starting from extraction, copper treatment, and cleanup of those samples. A large part of this particular week I had to spend on data analysis from the Bioremediation project in Delaware, and that took up a lot of my time. Also, majorly in the later part of this week, I was trying to sort of uncoil. I gave myself a treat with some digital drawings that I completed, and finally making a very spontaneous trip to Washington, DC. So without further ado, let's get into the vlog now. Soon after I retrieved my samplers from the sediment after 7 days of running an experiment for my SERDP project, I realized that one of the prototypes, this one right here, that I had deployed in the sediment probably did not vibrate all along. I had submitted an abstract back in August to an upcoming conference, promising to present results from these experiments. And back then, I had actually not done these experiments. So, the exact moment when I discovered that my week-long experiment might have gone waste, I was quite panic stricken. I went home that day and spent the entire afternoon in bed, completely demotivated and irritated with myself. Fortunately, I was able to pull myself back together the next day to go to the lab and figure out what the issue was. The electrical box, which is the main body of this prototype, is just right to accommodate all the components in it. And I figured I needed to push down or screw down the aluminium plate holding the motor all the way down, at least on the side of the motor, so that the offload of the motor did not come in the way of the lid of the box while rotating. And that was it. It did not vibrate because the offload on the motor failed to rotate, as the lid would come in its way. Anyway, so after I figured that out, I made sure I checked that the device was vibrating before putting it into the sediment, this time for 14 days. I would also have to repeat the 7-day experiment after this.
There you go. have not been able to film all day yesterday and today until now. It's around 3:40 right now, and sorry about that because I was very busy with something. So I was analyzing my Christina River samples, and it took much more time than I was anticipating. I sent out the data to my advisor. I'll wait for him to go through the data and let me know if everything looks okay. So that is done. I can finally focus completely on my Sardap project now. This week is Ganesh Chaturthi. Ganesh Chaturthi is a very well celebrated festival, mostly in South India, even though all of India does really celebrate Ganesh Chaturthi, but I think mostly in the southern part of India it's a very grandly celebrated festival. So one of my friends, he does a big celebration at his place, so I took the responsibility of making some prasad today. For me, I decided I'll make some rosogollas, which is a very Indian sweet we have in eastern part of India. So I think I'll go to the celebration today evening, which is at 8:30. Like, I have no idea how people can like choose something in all that mess. So it was a very
Fish tank.
Fish tank is the easiest, right?
Yep, and Petco is about to have a sale on fish tanks.
Sale.
Yeah, every year or 2 times a year they have a sale. So usually, like, say I wanted a 40-gallon fish tank, 40 gallons usually go around maybe 50 to 60 bucks, but on this day it would be like 30 bucks. So it's basically half off.
Alright.
Because we have a 30-gallon one. So I can show you it to give you an idea of the size.
Yeah. Okay.
The 40 gallons are pretty big too. They're like this.
I mean, that size is fine.
That size is fine?
Yeah. Just like, as long as it has enough. Like, sediment doesn't have to be a very big sediment height.
Because I kind of, like, the only reason why I would want it to be, you know, bigger is because, like, if you want to expand on it, it would be, you have to make it all again.
Right.
So I'd rather have, like, enough sediment that there would be kind of like a sink.
So this week for the CERDIP project, I was able to complete the extraction, copper treatment and cleanup steps for my 7-day experiments in bulk sediment extraction. I also deployed my prototypes for my 14-day long experiment, started a new batch of PRC loading. This will be my batch 5B. So I inserted polyethylene sheets into the same loading solution. This time I've increased the number of polyethylene sheets packed in the jar to twice the number I had inserted last time. Since packing density was one of the issues that I was thinking led to non-homogeneous PRC loading, this is what I'm doing now. I'm increasing the packing density by a very small range to see how the efficiency of PRC loading is impacted by it. Last but not the least, for most of this week, I was very busy with the chromatogram integration and later with the data analysis of the bioremediation project for the Christina River. And I think I got most of the things I wanted to get done this week. Yeah.
So the spontaneous DC trip was definitely a very big highlight of this week. I think sometimes I get so caught up in the planning stage of things that I imagine that things won't work out and I end up not doing them. This week, thankfully, I was ready to just get up and go, and it was very required for me after the kind of week I had had. So yeah, it definitely refreshed me and I'm glad The second highlight is a more psychological highlight, and I think I felt very non-relatable and kind of lonely in a way. The kind of challenges I was facing was not really difficult per se, but the fact that only I was the one who was facing them and only I could devise my way out of it made me feel sort of non-relatable to others. It just meant that I can tell my stories to someone, but at the end of the day, when everybody leaves the room, it's just me and I have to clean up my own mess. I think that's a very big life lesson that PhD teaches me every day. That no matter how much time you spend on the planet with people around you, at the end of the day, you come to this earth yourself and you have to leave it all by yourself, all alone. While that is true, I think I did a good job of recovering from my failures quickly this week. Although I'm not sure whether rushing through that process of recovering from a situation does you any good. I'm not sure whether it does you any good, but it was necessary at this point. I was glad that I did not brood over it for more than a day, and I was ready to go back and figure out what the problem was and fix it, which was necessary given the kind of deadline schedule I have right now. Yeah. Well, apart from the highlights, I think this week I was listening to the Spotify BBC Earth podcast titled "Could You Survive 8 Months of Isolation?" And there I learned that sometimes animals, they evolve genetically when the surrounding circumstances change around them, and isolation is one of them. Large body-sized animals, for example, when they get isolated from the mainland to islands, their body size shrinks apparently. There are not enough resources to maintain their big body size. So in order to be more efficient and sustainable, their body size genetically shrinks. The other reason is because all the predators are on mainland. Being isolated on an island, they lose the use of a bigger body size to protect themselves from their predators. The other story was very fascinating. This man, he was telling the story of a blue whale which got isolated from its friends during the Cold War for a period of 10 years and went around calling for them. And the song of this blue whale, of this isolated blue whale calling at his friends and nobody responding to it, became quite popular among people, and they started listening to this sound to calm themselves down. And the narrator of this story himself would sometimes listen to this song, which is a very low frequency sound basically, while he was working alone. Sometimes it was quite ironical because he would listen to the song of an isolated blue whale and he found companionship in that. So yeah, these two stories really stayed with me this week. I think I would like to thank my nerves this week for being able to take all the rejections, hard work, and recovering from all the failures that I faced this week. I think my body and mind are gradually getting used to and more comfortable in the more challenging situations that I face at my work. I don't know whether that is a good or bad thing, but at least it's helping me achieve my goals. The second thing is obviously, I guess, the BBC Earth podcast and the Think Fast Talk Smart podcasts, the links to which are attached below. These are posted on Spotify if you want to listen to them. I think listening to these podcasts during my lonely hours of work in the lab definitely filled up those gaps for me, made me feel less lonely. And last but not the least, I think it's always going to be a thank you note to all the audience that I have who listens and watches these vlogs that I make. So thank you everyone. I think you guys were very supportive when I shared a couple of days ago that on Instagram that maybe this week's vlog is going to come up late, and I know all of you, like literally so many of you, sent me notes saying, you know, it's okay, take your day's rest, you're working so hard, so just lay back and take rest. So thank you for supporting me, and thank you for all those notes that you wrote to me. Your support means everything, and it's literally all the motivation that I need. So thank you. With that, we reach the end of this vlog. Stay safe, have a lovely week ahead, and I'll see you in the next one.